Welcome to the Moms I Know with Sheila Walsh-Denton and Maria Anderson-Farner. Two moms on a mission to reclaim childhood and take you from surviving to thriving on your parenting journey. The Moms I Know is your go-to source for motivation, inspiration, and resources, and real conversation about motherhood and parenting with intention. Thank you for being a part of our community. We hope you enjoyed this episode.
No mud, no Lotus. Thich Nhat Hanh.
This is Maria.
And this is Sheila.
And we want to welcome you to the Moms I Know. I'd like to introduce Amanda West. Amanda, I love that quote. It says it all these days. Amanda is an award-winning singer-songwriter, music teacher, community leader, and mother. Born with an old soul, she has devoted herself to a life of music and the study of what it means to be human. And in 2014, she co-founded Womb Song United States, an organization that supports women into motherhood through song. This work continues through community singing circles, rituals, and workshops. And we are so delighted to have you here with us today, Amanda. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm delighted to be here too.
Wow. And Sheila is with us today as well. So we're going to have, all three of us kind of chiming in here, but we really want to hear mostly from you, Amanda, with this journey of music and motherhood. This sort of symbolizes everything that we believe in, the joy of music, bringing community together and really integrating all of this into our life. So I'd love to start with just having you share a little bit of your journey. How did you get to be where you are today?
So I have always loved music, and kind of the story that my mom tells is that I sang before I spoke. She'd push me along in the stroller and I would just la la la. So I was always very drawn to music, loved singing, and I ended up finding my way to the guitar actually as someone to sing with me, because I was shy about singing by myself, but I was like, oh, if I learn guitar, then I'll always have someone to sing with. And so I did that, and my very first guitar teacher, as soon as I knew my first 3 chords, she gave me the assignment. She said, go home and write a song. And so I did, and I was 11 at that age, so that was when I wrote my first song, and then I've just been songwriting ever since. In high school, I formed my first band, and we played all my original music. That carried on into college, and then I got burned out on the promotional business side of music, and I just stopped for a while, and then I came back into it just as a solo artist, and I met my now husband along that path. I went into the studio to record my first solo album, and he was the sound engineer assigned to me, and so we worked together very professionally for about a year, and then it became more than just a professional relationship. And so music has been a huge part of our relationship, and he's also a musician, so we started performing together and recorded more albums together, and we did a lot of touring, and that carried on through when I had my first child. And so for the first few years we just dragged him along on tours, and we'd sit him on the side of the stage, or one of us would wear him on our back, and it was totally insane, but also what we needed to do. I just had such this strong determination that I was not going to let motherhood, I wasn't going to lose my musical path in motherhood. And because everyone said to me, oh, everything's going to change. And of course it does. Of course it does. But I've kind of carried on that just fire in me of no, I will not let music go. And I think I had to hold on to it so strongly in those first few years, I think because I wasn't as sure of the identity in myself. And then at some point that sort of shifted, and Womb Song came in there. My son was about 2 when we started it, or 1.5. And that was just such this beautiful place where I felt like I could have my full identity of mother and full identity of musician, and they fed each other, which was the first time I'd experienced that, because it had been a very kind of divided reality. In the music business, when I first became pregnant, I didn't know anyone else who had kids. I mean, there were people who were much older who'd like had their children and then come back to music, and then there were people without children, and there was no one in between. And so that was scary because there was no examples of it, and I thought, oh, maybe this is impossible. But I forged ahead, and I now have. I mean, I've been running for many years now a Facebook group called Mama Musicians that I started, and I think there's 150 women in there now who are mothers and musicians. So there's people who do this, and I just didn't know that at the time, but now I know that, and yeah, it's always inspiring to go there and just have the conversations and feel not alone.
Oh, what an inspiration you are to so many. And this is a fascinating topic because, we have this conversation with mamas all the time about this, identity. And then, we are who we are. And then all of a sudden we're a mother. And how do we hold on to who we are, who we were, and then also bring on this new aspect of motherhood. And you have done it so gracefully. And also it sounds like with no questioning or fear. It was like, this is who I am. This is what I'm going to do. And how do I make sure that I continue to have this passion? And then obviously, of course, sharing that with your child. And so, having it be a family thing. And that's something that we are really striving for. When I was growing up, we didn't have a whole lot of music in the home other than, classical music on the radio. There weren't musicians, but I was determined with our children that we would bring music into our family life so much more.
Yes.
And so you have really, that was part of your life, and then you just continued it. So I love that. I'd love to hear a little bit more about, was there a bit more of a struggle there, or was it just this core,
Yeah.
I'm not
I'm
going to lose
obviously not quite telling the story right, because you said, oh, you did it without fear or struggle. And no. I had so many questions and so much fear. It was so hard. I think every day, we had a lot of moments of just question, like, what am I doing? And honestly, I still feel that today. I'm like, if I were just a sane person, I would just let go of so much more. And it's a struggle in me all the time. But I think I've found a lot of community just in other mother artists too. There's this book, I have it on my desk actually, it's called The Divided Heart, and it's by an Australian woman, Rachel Power. The Divided Heart, Art and Motherhood. And that book meant a lot to me, to read all these stories of she just goes and interviews mother artists of all sorts. So there's musicians, there's painters, writers, actresses, etc. And I think probably, yes, this is such a common experience for mothers. I mean, probably everyone going into parenthood, right? But I think especially women, it's really easy to just lose your identity. And there's such a struggle of how do you keep yourself and what you love, and also, be the present parent that you want to be.
And yet, as we share our passions with our children, that helps shape, who they become. I mean, they are who they are, but then, each family has these different, Sheila and I talk a lot about family culture, and whether it's music or travel or art or literature or, whatever, the cowboy lifestyle, just whatever it is, children grow up with that. And when we share our passions, they either can, really let those flourish, or they find their own. And we are the examples, we're the role models for them. But it's such a fascinating journey. And so I'd love to have us talk a little bit more about the importance of music for children. Obviously, bringing womb song, creating that, having music be a part of your life, but also for other mothers and their children, and the importance of music in early childhood, and even in pregnancy, and
Yes. Well, and music actually, like, in all of life. So what I studied in college was cultural anthropology, and so that's a big part of my background, is just this understanding that music is a part of being human. And if you look at most cultures throughout time, music has been just woven, integrated into everyday life. You sing while you chop the vegetables, and you sing while you do the laundry, and you sing while you walk here, and you sing while you do this. And I'm not quite sure how that got so lost in our current society, but we live in a very strange society where we've come up with this idea that there's the musicians who are the special people over there, and then there's the rest of us. And it's really very harmful, I think. I really believe that, yeah, that all of us can make music and sing. Like, if you think about it, a baby in the mother's womb is surrounded by the heartbeat. That's rhythm. It's like we are rhythmic beings where we grow and are born in that. And yeah, so womb song is a piece of that. And I really love just like leading these community singing circles. And I'm not sure if it's just like the worlds that I'm in, or if there has indeed been a resurgence of more community singing, but that's what I see and feel. There's an event called Song Village that's been happening in the Santa Cruz Mountains here for the last maybe 5 years, and it's just kind of bringing together song leaders and nurturing this experience of community singing. And it's really, the music taught through call and response, so it's not a thing, you don't have to be, have any special training. It's like you just are there and you're human, so you can sing and you can be a part of this. And I think it's so healthy for all of us, and of course especially for the children too, to just be like woven into the fabric of life and community that way.
I really like what you said, the question of where was it lost, and diving deeper into that. I do think that this new generation of moms are aware of what they might have missed when they were kids growing up. But I believe that when you become a mother, the importance of community is really key. And I think, Amanda, you are very much so a role model in our community as, creating the womb song. And a few of the things you've said that have really struck me is that you didn't lose your musical path in motherhood. Mm-hmm. And I feel like how many moms can relate to that, of just that maybe they have lost their path, but what was their path, And so I really, really just want to have gratitude for you and having your journey be in public and bringing such amazing life music to our community. And I really like when I see this new generation of mothers really embracing it and showing that to our children. Thank you. And I think the question is, it's just the conversation, Maria, with you too, is just like, yeah, where was it lost? Why, how can we bring it back? How else can we, as a community, bring importance back to these things that you like in cultural anthropology, like these things that make culture, the music, the food, for me, it's like really important with the food. But in Maria, in education and everything, like bringing these things that are important as we're pulling ourselves out of COVID, of this crazy time here, a renaissance of sorts, right? This rebirth, like where the music is coming out, like what else can we do to encourage our community?
Yeah, totally. And something that's really alive for me right now, I'm taking a course that is kind of just looking at where we are as humanity right now and the climate crisis, and just this whole picture, which I feel like COVID is a part of that. I really feel like COVID came with a teaching for all of us, this reminder of like the life that you're living is not sustainable. Things need to change, and please just stop and reconsider. And I think we're in such this important place in time right now, this potential for huge cultural shift, and I think that's what we're all feeling. And I feel really energized by the questions of what does a just sustainable future look like. And I think what you're talking about, Sheila, the piece of community is such a huge part of it, because that really is something that has been lost. Motherhood for so many people has just been such an isolating experience. And I've been really feeling that with having children. I'm like, this whole nuclear family model is ridiculous. It does not work for raising children. And COVID really emphasized that. Just the one little family all alone in our house, like for months on end, is just not okay. We need each other. And yeah, I think all of that, the singing together, the being together, the cooking together, all of this is community, the learning together. Yeah.
There's a woman named Beth Berry, and she has this thing like revolution from home. And I just feel like that voice needs to be amplified, and it's being amplified through music, like Thankful to You. But it's that nuclear, it takes the village. We weren't meant to just do this by ourselves.
No.
And so we need to expand that. And so that's where, like with you and the womb song, like that was such the marriage between the two, and I just like, how can we continue that? I love that you have a Facebook group that's growing and everything. And so, and then you're in the homeschool community as well, right?
I am. Yes.
Yeah. And that's where
I wasn't doing enough in life. So we had
right. I know. Add the homeschool. I know. But that's where I feel like for me was a big piece of community. Was when I started homeschooling as well.
I think homeschooling for me has been one of the biggest. It's been kind of a spiritual journey in a lot of ways, like so much soul searching. And yeah, but it also, I realize it fits really well with the, self-employed artist lifestyle, because it's just kind of this alternative way of organizing your life. So it works for us right now.
Are you on the road?
We're not right now. No, that has shifted. COVID, like everyone just stayed home, and things have shifted so much. And I feel like I'm in a place of trying to figure out what I'm doing next. Just trying to be in the mud, right? There's a lot of mud.
That's exactly what came to me. A few
Resting
things
in the mud.
And the lotus is going to be blooming, and
it's going to come.
It's going to come. But you talked about this, these past 18 months. This is this incredible opportunity, and you use the word renaissance. I think one of you said that, and this idea that now we, as the women, as the mama bears, as the caregivers, as the keepers of the wisdom, now we do have to really amplify. So we've been in this period of the mud, and now that little sprout is starting. And so, I'm thinking of, all of our listeners, each of you have that potential. And I think that, we started this podcast, The Moms I Know, to really amplify that community of wise mothers who are sharing with each other, who none of us have the answers, but we're all in this together. We're all in the mud together, and we are really working together and in community. And of course, for me, living next door to my children and grandchildren now, and being in this multi-generational community and seeing really what it takes. The other day we were laughing, there were 4 adults with 3 kids, and we still weren't getting it all done, and it's like, how did we make this work before? And we make it work because we have to. But if we're really looking at what is best for humanity, and here is this opportunity for us to say, yes, keeping our identity, sharing music, art, food, everything that is important as human beings. So, your realm of music and the importance of it for children. We haven't even talked about, like how it can help with mathematics and language expression and all of these things. But, we know the research is there as to how important it is, aside from the fact that it is what makes us human. I think, doesn't it go back to early drumming was like the instruments that we found from Stone Age people, that music has been a part of humanity from the very beginning. And so I'd love to hear a little bit more about, that aspect.
Yeah, well, so I teach music, and I work with a lot of students of all ages, but I really love working with children. And yeah, I mean, music is so wonderful. Like what you said, it does help with like all the other, yeah, it's very mathematical, but it's also what I love about music is it connects both sides of the hemispheres. And they've done these studies, you know, when you are even just listening to music, but especially when you are making music, it's like the most parts of our brain are lit up and engaged all at the same time. And there's so much like cross-lateral brain functioning that happens through it. And you can feel it, I mean, especially with singing, it's this amazing thing that, you know, regulates the nervous system and just, it's so like integrating. And fun fact that I love about singing in groups, in community, they've done these studies, and that when people are singing together, their heartbeats align because, you know, as you're learning, because you're breathing together, right? So, you know, the breathing, it helps, you know, change what the heart's rhythms are. So that feeling that you get when you're, I mean, I don't know, probably not everyone has had this experience, but if you've had it, you know what it's like to, you know, be in a room full of people all singing the same thing. And there is this sense of unity that happens. And that's just like my favorite thing. So,
Well,
yeah.
that's a spiritual experience in itself, you know, and then this all hearts beating as one. And so I think our society has allowed things to be segmented so much. And then we as moms want to do what's best for our kids. So we look at music lessons and this and that, instead of looking at it as this whole organic picture of just cultural.
Yes.
And so bringing that together is so important.
Totally. And so many people ask me, you know, especially with kind of younger children, people want to come and bring their child for music lessons. And, you know, a lot of kids, you know, like a 5-year-old, they're not, I've had, you know, there's a few special ones, but a lot of them, they're not ready for like the one-on-one lessons. But I'll say to the parents, you know, why don't you come and have a lesson? And I have a bunch of like parent-child duos who come and we do lessons together. And I think that is just the best thing, because then the child, you know, they see their parent like learning this thing and following their own passion and doing something that they love, and that in itself is really inspiring for the child. And then it's something, you know, you can share with them as well. And yeah, again, that idea of integration, right, as opposed to we'll all be in our separate places doing our own things, the experience of let's just all be together doing the thing.
I did that when my son was little. I did violin with him, but it was super fun. What resources would you recommend for the young children? You know, parent is like, here's this episode, and it's like, I want to bring in musical education or musicality, but I don't know what to do. Like, what would be the first steps, would you say?
Sure, rhyming. I mean, just listening to music, like listening and making music and going to concerts. I mean, you know, concerts have been very happening with COVID, but like, and having this trust, I think there's actually a lot of wounding around music, because so many people, again, it goes back to that idea of people think, oh, there's the musicians over there and then there's the rest of us over here. And no, we all can make music. And even if you know, a lot of people think that they can't, or they're afraid to, and they're going to do it wrong. And it's the heart that matters. It's the presence, it's the intention and the feeling behind it. You know, it's okay if you kind of sing the wrong note or aren't exactly, you know, in the rhythm. Like, it's okay if your heart is in it and you're loving it. That's really, especially for young children, that's what they feel too. And they're so tuned into just the kind of energy of something. Yeah. So just bringing music into the daily life and
what type? Like what you know,
type
would
of
you,
music?
yeah, would you recommend your favorite music, or would it be like Rafi or like her children's music, or what?
So here's the thing. Yeah, I know a lot of people think they have to like listen to all the kids' CDs, and some of them are great. I personally honestly don't love a lot of them. I always tell people, I'm like, just listen to what you like. Like, it's fine. I don't know. I don't think there has to be a separate reality for children. I think they can just come and like be in our reality and yeah, integrate, you know?
Yeah.
I'm glad to
Definitely
hear that.
integrate. I like that. Yeah, no, we took our daughters to their first music festival at Mountain Soul a few weeks ago,
Yeah.
and they had so much fun. And it was just, I really believed it was just that the community integration
Hmm.
of live music again, and it was like
Yeah.
tears brought to my eyes. It was
Oh,
beautiful.
yes,
Mhm.
totally.
And live music is so special. I mean, obviously, we can listen to so much beautiful recorded music, but when we're in the presence of live music and then music together, it really does feed the soul so deeply.
Yeah.
Recently, I was at it was a women's gathering here in Bozeman, and there were musicians for it, and it was just like, yes, this is what we need so much more of. So I'm
Hmm.
so
Hmm.
grateful for all of the work that you're doing. And so just really encouraging all of our listeners to just create it, listen to it, make it, get out there. And we don't want to lose this. This is part of who we are as human beings. Amanda, I wanted to ask also, did you have specific mentors when you were growing up in terms of music?
That's a great, yes, of course, like we always do, right? So my first guitar teacher, I really, connected with her. I think, yeah, I think feeling that connection with somebody is so important. I had, it was the music teacher in the school district, while I was growing up. So she, her name, or she happened to be like when I was in kindergarten, she was our music teacher. I remember her coming in with her guitar, and I thought that was really cool. And then she ended up being my choir teacher in high school. So it was like she kind of saw me through like so much. And as I'm speaking about this, I'm realizing I should go look her up and find her and just tell her that I appreciate her for that because she probably doesn't know. And of course, then I had another guitar teacher later when I was in high school. Who was in the band Rebecca Riots. That was a Berkeley band, and she was very inspiring to me and supportive of my songwriting.
Nice. Is there anything else that you would want to make sure that our listeners hear from you?
I think I felt like sharing also. I think it's so easy as moms for us to put a big burden on ourselves of all the things that we should do. Like, oh, I need to make sure my child gets the proper music education. Like, I don't want people to be hearing that message of like, oh no, now I have to do this other thing. Like, again, I really want to emphasize this idea of, weaving it into your daily life, and that what is good for your children is good for you, and what is good for you is good for your children. It's not a different thing. Like, we are all connected, and I think that's the piece that gets forgotten. We think there's the illusion of separation, right? Of separateness, and we're all connected. So it's kind of a big picture that you have to hold in your mind. But I think that's really important. And I guess also I am so honored by what you have both said about me and your appreciation of my work, and I try and hold space and honor all the things I've done. And also, like, I am just a human too, and struggling, and in a space right now, I feel like I'm really trying to figure out my next steps. We'd actually postponed this interview. We were going to do it this past summer, and I said, no, I need a little space in life just to try and breathe, recover from the pandemic. And honestly, I find myself right now, I'm like, I'm still in that space, like trying to figure out what is next. My life, my work, it's still, we're not recovered from the pandemic. I'm still trying to figure out my teaching and how do we do concerts and community singing. It's all still very confusing right now. And I think it's okay to like be in this in between time and maybe be doing less right now. I was just having a conversation earlier this morning with a friend of the importance of just allowing there to be space and the reminder that there's seasons. There's seasons of things, and it goes back to actually that idea of rhythm, the breath. It's like we take the breath in and then we let the breath out. And that is happening, on multiple levels all the time. And I still feel like I'm maybe in an, oh, I don't know, would it be the exhaling part of the cycle? Just, still trying to like let go. And I'm trying to figure out what the next in-breath and the next springtime will be. So, and just allowing that,
So we just breathe and we allow the music to come forth, and the lotus will unfold. And this has just been such a beautiful time talking with both of you and listening and thinking about all of the opportunities ahead. So thank you so very much, Amanda, for joining us this morning.
Thank you so much for having me. Yeah, I feel like there's so many things we could just talk about. There's been so many threads in this conversation that we could have many, many hour-long conversations about each one of them. So, but thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you, Amanda, for really emphasizing the importance of community and emphasizing the importance of music, of mothering. Of it, and like that's Maria, like intentional mothering, and you're just a beautiful example of it. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Oh, can I say one more thing?
Absolutely.
Just thinking of community and finding support. So and perhaps you've already had someone on this podcast who's mentioned this, but there's the Circle Family Center in Aptos in Santa Cruz that's opening, it's in Aptos, but Santa Cruz County. And so that we're still trying to figure out the details, but it looks like that will be the next home for Womb Song. And starting that up again. And it's going to be a wonderful resource center. It's a nonprofit, and they're really working to like reach all families regardless of income and all the things. So I'm excited to be a part of that. And we're just trying to figure out the timing of that still, feeling is the world, are we actually ready to all come out and sing together again? I don't know. We're figuring it out. So, but at some point we will be. So.
Well, I hope
Fabulous.
So. Yeah. And I was going to also ask, for those people who are not in Santa Cruz County, if somebody wanted to talk with you more, to get in touch with you and follow your work and even join Facebook.
Yes.
So where would they find you?
Yeah. So my website is the best place. So it's just amandawest.com. Yeah. And I would love to chat more and, reach out with any questions. I love talking about music and motherhood. These are like my two huge passions, and I could talk forever about both of them. So, or just, if you need, more resources and support, please reach out. So.
Well, thank you so very much. We really appreciate your time today and love you and your music and this whole concept. So take care.
You. I love what you both are doing too. Yeah, you just bring so much to the mama community. So really grateful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us today for the Moms I Know. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. To get the show notes and resources mentioned in today's episode, visit themomsiknow.com. For information on Maria's programs, visit thefutureoffamily.com. And for information on Sheila's programs, visit purplebeatfamily.com. Don't forget to subscribe and rate us on iTunes, and follow us on Instagram at The Moms I Know Podcast. Until next time, have a joyful family journey.